This is another video in the series Getting Started with Extreme Vigilance from Scianta Analytics. Now previously in some of the videos we've walked you through creating models as well as running analyses on demand as well as scheduling them. And there was one we also took a video on looking at the analysis results through the dashboards. Now there was another analysis that was performed that's not under analysis dashboards, it's the actual threat analysis where we generate threats. Anomalies where we basically, threat analysis, we've looked at all the anomalies, but also we take into account the criticality of individual actors as well as the assets they touch. And those kind of determine whether we're going to generate an actor or an asset threat. So how can I take another visual through dashboards on just the threats? So under analysis, and then in this top row here of menu, we have an analysis menu item. If I click on there and drop down, you'll notice that there's a threat dashboards. And if I click on there, there's two of them. One, let's just look at actor threats, or we could look at the asset threats. And let's take a look at both of them. First, let's start with actor. So if I click into the actor threat dashboard, we have these nice clustered diagrams which kind of shows us actor threats by cumulative risk score. So there is a variety of actor threats, but there's a couple of them that really stand out. Their criticality, and they're considered a higher risk because we took into account the criticality of the actual actor as well as the assets they touched. There's another diagram over here that also shows which threats have the most anomalies associated with them. So one that really stands out right away over here, there's an actor called A. Tristler, over 1,000 anomalies or whatever, but we're generating one threat to report about. And these other ones are very small. So nice thing is there's a table down below of all the actor threats. We can actually click on this chart up here and we can filter directly to that list. So that should just pull up the A. Tristler threat. Yes. Let's go ahead and let's drill into it and take a closer look. So we have a nice threat detail view. And for this actor threat, we actually kind of show up the sequence of operations that this user did in that threat interval. Lots of activity here, but we're just trying to move forward to this particular threat. And oh wow, you'll notice that there's a lot. Looks like the user, if I start scrolling down here, just went crazy with email. So it's very possible that, I can easily start flowing through this diagram, but it's possible someone has taken over this individual's email account and is sending out all kinds of messages because they're so close together and they're going rapidly. So it's definitely something worth looking into from a threat perspective. What's going on with that individual's email account? So let's go back over here. Let's take a look at another one. So notice the risk scores on these are relatively low. This one's a higher risk. We have 3 of them that have a higher risk. This one looks like the highest. Let's filter our list on bakery. And he's got a couple different anomalies here. One threat was triggered off a single anomaly, and there's another one where it was triggered off a 6th. Let's just click into both and see what they are. Which one did I click on? I think I clicked on the one where there was a single anomaly. This was the case where the individual accessed an authentication success on an application server. First time, 0%. He's never actually gotten to this step before. This is the first time he's ever logged into this application server. Now, based off his normal activity, this is unusual because he's never done it before. So maybe he just got permission or access to it, or it's worth looking into to find out. Okay, there was another one here. It said 6 anomalies. Who are we looking at? Bakery. Let's filter it down again. I wanted to see what this other threat was for the actor. Take a quick look, and this one's around the finance server. So a lot of these, there's a lot of anomalies just reported for the same activity here, and because he's never accessed the financial server before, and then he did something afterwards. So yeah, that's an unusual transition between 2 nodes. But basically, I can see here that this user his normal behavior is never to access an authentication finance server, and he has. So that's probably a very critical resource. Its criticality is pretty high. So it'd be worth looking into. Okay, now let's the other side of the analysis on threats. The dashboard is an asset. As I mentioned, actors do activities that touch assets. Some assets have a higher criticality than others, so potentially pose a different risk if you detect a large number of anomalies associated with it. As we can see, we have asset threats by risk score and asset threats in these cluster diagrams here by number of actors. And we have the full table here, and once again, I can click on any one of these nodes and filter that list. So I'm curious of the one actor case. Let's just click on him for curiosity. Click. And there is a bunch of threats. Did I click on that? Sorry. Bunch of threats. Okay. Should be able to filter on these lists by clicking on there. There we go. Sorry, I'm not sure what I did. And otherwise, let's just show them all. The idea is you can filter the list of anomalies, basically. Well, I'm starting over. Well, scratch that. You can cut that out. All right, let's refresh the screen. So on the asset threat dashboard, basically we have two different cluster diagrams here. One is asset threats by cumulative risk score, and there's another one by asset threats by number of actors. And you'll notice the ones that stand out, the farther away from the center, the larger, the number of actors in this case, and this over here, is the number has a higher risk versus the ones that are closer. And you can click on the diagrams to filter the chart below. And as we do that, we can pick any one of these individual asset threats and we can drill into them directly. So let's go ahead and pick one. This one only had one actor associated to this asset threat. So I'm curious to see what it was. Actor Bakery, basically from his desktop computer, accessed this server. And in particular, this server was a finance server, and he's actually logged into it successfully at one time, but just different types of anomalies were generated here. It was an invalid actor sequence. He's never done that transition before. He's done it at an unusual time, unusual assets. He's never touched this server before. And just in general, it's an unusual activity. So, one thing we can derive from here is this: whether or not is the question we should be asking this user, should he have been allowed access to the authentication finance server? He's never accessed it before, and this was the first time he's done it. So maybe he's just a new user who's got permission, or maybe there's a security violation going on. Let's go back and take a look at one more. Let's take the first one. I don't know why I clicked the second one. So this was a case where I've actually have three actors involved touching the same asset. Let's take a closer look. Apple Pineapple, a Tristler, and Bakery. Three different users, all touching the same server. Let me scroll down here in just a second. And I see it's all associated with email. So actually, it looks like we have three different. Well, actor A. Tristler looks like he's gone crazy with email. The times are so close together that he's just going and going and going and going. Somebody may have just taken over his account. And then there's a couple other ones. Email delivery for Bakery and Pineapple. I'm not sure why. The A. Tristler is pretty obvious. What else is going on here? Pineapple. What did this user do? Kind of curious. So very first activity of the day, the user starts sending emails. Meaning he's never actually logged in, been authenticated, even got access to the VPN like the other users. So it's kind of curious as how these emails are being sent from his account. That's definitely something from a security perspective to look at. Could the user have been logged in all overnight when the first thing he came in? Most places may have some policies in place that force the workstations to be logged out. So it is a little curious at how this happened. So definitely something worth looking into. So that kind of concludes a quick walkthrough of the threat dashboards. Thank you.